In a critical moment for the 2024 U.S. presidential race, Vice President Kamala Harris, now the Democratic nominee, sat down for her first one-on-one network interview. The interview aired on MSNBC and provided Harris the chance to communicate her vision, focusing primarily on economic policies, women's rights, and immigration. This interview marks a crucial juncture for Harris's campaign, particularly given that she has limited her media appearances thus far. Let's dive into what Harris had to say and the significance of this moment. Chapter 1: Economic Focus. Kamala Harris used this platform to unveil what she refers to as her Opportunity Economy Plan, which is aimed at boosting middle-class growth. In particular, she emphasized policies that would ensure no tax hikes for individuals earning under $400,000 per year, expand the child tax credit to ease financial burdens on families, address the nation's housing crisis by committing to affordable housing initiatives. During the interview, Harris brought in personal experiences, such as her time working in fast food, to connect with voters who feel the weight of economic struggles. This messaging was directed toward middle-class voters, an essential demographic she needs to win in key states like Pennsylvania. Harris did not hold back from criticizing Donald Trump's economic policies, particularly the tariffs imposed during his administration, which she argued hurt American consumers and industries. Her stance is designed to present a pro-business, pro-middle-class alternative to the former president's economic plan. Chapter 2: Limited Media Presence and Criticism. While Harris made strides in outlining her economic platform, the interview also underscored a long-standing issue: her relatively limited media presence. According to recent reports, the Harris campaign has granted fewer interviews than any other major candidate in modern U.S. presidential history. Critics from both sides of the aisle have pointed to this as a potential risk for her campaign. What's more, Harris has yet to hold a press conference as a presidential candidate. In contrast, Donald Trump has participated in multiple press briefings, and her Republican competitor, J.D. Vance, has already held over a dozen. These criticisms have raised concerns that Harris may be avoiding direct questions about her leadership and policy specifics. However, this interview allowed Harris to sidestep some of these concerns, choosing to focus on her economic agenda. Though she avoided specific governance-related questions, her supporters argue that this is a deliberate strategy to keep the conversation centered on policy over political spectacle. Chapter 3: Key Issues: Women's Rights and Immigration. Besides the economy, Kamala Harris took the opportunity to emphasize two other critical issues: reproductive rights and immigration. On women's rights, Harris reiterated her commitment to protecting women's reproductive autonomy. This has become a central issue for Democrats, particularly after the fall of Roe v. Wade, which has ignited a nationwide debate on abortion rights. Harris's messaging here was directed toward female voters, many of whom see this as a pivotal issue in the 2024 race. In addition, Harris discussed immigration reform, positioning herself in direct contrast to Donald Trump's hardline stance on the issue. While Trump focused on building a border wall and enforcing strict travel bans, Harris argued for a more humane approach. Her vision includes comprehensive immigration reform that balances border security with the protection of immigrant rights, an approach that aims to appeal to a broader segment of the electorate. Chapter 4: Media Strategy and Public Perception. Harris's media strategy during this campaign has been to engage with local media outlets rather than large-scale national interviews. This decision has come under scrutiny, as some believe it limits her visibility on the national stage. While local media appearances help her connect with specific voter bases in battleground states, her avoidance of broader media engagements has led to accusations of avoiding difficult questions. J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, took to social media to criticize Harris, accusing her of using friendly interviews to dodge tough inquiries. This critique has fueled a narrative among some of her opponents that Harris is cautious and overly scripted. On the other hand, her supporters argue that this controlled media presence allows her to focus on policy, avoiding distractions that could derail her campaign's core message. Chapter 5: Pennsylvania as a Key Battleground. The location of the interview, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was no coincidence. Pennsylvania is a must-win state for both Democrats and Republicans. Historically, no Democrat has won the presidency without carrying Pennsylvania since 1948. For Harris, this state represents a key battleground where the economy is the top concern for many voters. Polling suggests that Harris's focus on middle-class economic policies could resonate with Pennsylvanians, particularly as manufacturing and job growth remain top priorities. Harris's choice to deliver her message from Pennsylvania signals her campaign's emphasis on winning over voters in this critical swing state. By addressing issues such as job creation, affordable housing, and middle-class tax relief, Harris hopes to secure her standing in the Rust Belt, a region that has proven decisive in past elections. Chapter 6: Harris's Future Media Engagements. Looking ahead, Harris faces the challenge of balancing her controlled media strategy with the increasing demands for more national visibility. Reports suggest that Harris will continue to prioritize local media, smaller outlets, and podcasts, where she can communicate directly with voters. However, calls from within the Democratic Party and beyond suggest that she may need to step into larger national forums to reach a broader audience. One recent media engagement was a live-streamed interview with Oprah Winfrey on September 19th. This allowed Harris to share more of her personal story and emotional connection with voters. Events like these provide her with opportunities to engage without the pressure of a traditional press setting. Moving forward, Harris's campaign will need to carefully manage her media presence to ensure that she reaches as many voters as possible without sacrificing her policy-driven messaging. Conclusion: Kamala Harris's first solo network interview as the Democratic nominee for 2024 gave voters a closer look at her campaign's direction and policy priorities. Her focus on the opportunity economy and middle-class support was designed to set her apart from Donald Trump, while her strong stance on women's rights and immigration reform addressed key social issues at the forefront of this election. However, her limited media presence and criticism from opponents remain a challenge that her campaign must navigate as the election draws closer.